In an underwhelming game ridden by injuries going in, forcing Michigan to lean on its depth, the highlight of the game was clearly Jordan Marshall. His patience, vision, burst, and toughness were all on full display. Some plays he just simply made on his own. A few, Purdue was simply outflanked, and like this one, number 0, the corner on the right, who's responsible for the D gap, did not want any of the smoke. And on other plays, Michigan out-schemed Purdue in the run game, getting Purdue out of their gaps and or creating great angles for its blockers. This play here is duo with a Z yo-yo motion and Z slice, but I want to break this down from the end zone view. Michigan presents a 4-man surface, meaning there are 4 men on the line of scrimmage to one side of the center. Now, it's technically a 5-man surface here, but Marshall, number 4, is not included in the count to block the defenders in the core, plus emotions. So the run concept is universally called duo because there are 2 interior double teams, double teaming the 3 technique and the 2-eye. Now, on inside zone, all linemen are stepping to the play side. So, for example, here they would all be stepping left. But on duo, the left tackle and the center are stepping right opposite the play direction because their top priority is double teaming the 2 interior defensive linemen, which tells you this is duo. So those 2 double teams are then working their way up to the Mike and the Will. And then the 2 tight ends on the left, finishing off the 4-man surface, are blocking the end and the Sam, and the backside tackle takes the boundary end. Now, I want to highlight what this motion strategically does on this play. When Marsh executes the first half of this yo-yo motion, selling the jet motion across to the boundary, it gets the Sam off the line of scrimmage and the Mike to shove in towards the boundary with the motion. And that subtle wrinkle to this play makes the double team and Bredesen's block much easier. Marsh ends up motioning right back to where he started, but had he not motioned, the Sam and Mike would be right back to where they started. So notice how difficult of an angle it would be for the left tackle and the guard to work play side up to the Mike off that double team, and Bredesen would be blocking the Sam aligned right in front of him. Instead, that motion gets the Sam and the Mike to shove to the boundary, making Bredesen's block a little easier, and more importantly, providing a very convenient angle for the left tackle to work up to the Mike coming off that double team. Marsh ends up not being decisive enough and doesn't completely block anyone, but you can see how close this was to being a touchdown off of pure scheme alone. Now I want to highlight Purdue's risk-taking on defense. We'll get to the passing game, which, yes, was not great for Michigan, but the risks that Purdue took schematically were rewarded some in the pass game, but they were significantly exposed in the run game. On this one, you can see Goodwin entering the screen here on the right. He is motioning across, and schematically it actually helps Purdue on the play because it pulls in the nickel to shove into the run fit and be responsible for the D gap. Now, had Michigan not motioned, this play would have been even worse for Purdue. So let's focus on what Purdue does. They're in an odd front running a cover 3 fire zone, meaning they're blitzing 2, sending 6 total, and they're playing cover 3 behind. So the safeties are also spinning on motion. So the original down safety is now playing the post, and the original post safety is now actually rotating downhill to align off that receiver. But the linebackers, number 16 and 5, are running a cross dog blitz with 5 looping behind number 16. It's a very high risk, high reward play, and they find out the hard way on this one. Goodwin is slicing back to take number 91, but because the safeties are spinning on motion, it negates the nickel entering into the run fit because now Purdue actually has 3 defenders with that rotating safety in 2 gaps on the backside of the play. That's a bad start, but it actually gets worse. Because of the cross dog blitz between the Mike and the Will, sure, the Mike is currently in a position to play the backside B gap, but Purdue, again, has now 2 defenders in 1 gap. So they have 3 defenders in 2 gaps over there on the left, and they have 2 defenders in 1 gap in the middle. So who defends the 4 remaining gaps? Remember, yes, they have that nickel who's just out of the frame, responsible for the D gap, but the safety's spun on motion. So number 21 is out of the run fit. He's the post safety, not a part of the run fit. We can say number 8 has either the B or the C gap. If he's trying to play the C gap, he loses his leverage, so we'll give him the B gap here. That still leaves us with 2 unaccounted gaps. And of course, Gio takes advantage of the leverage, and Jordan Marshall takes it from there off to the races for a touchdown. So again, the run game was once again elite, almost 7 yards a carry. Jordan Marshall is a beast. Offensive line played very well, and the scheme was great. And once again, that successful run game trickled into the pass game by exploiting the defense in the boot game. So even this first one, I want to pause it here and show you from the end zone copy what the defense is looking at. It looks just like stretch split zone. When you keep running the ball successfully over and over and over again, the boot game is naturally opened up to be successful. And when you combine that with Bryce's playmaking ability, you get what I think is probably the best boot game in the country. This play right here is a very underrated insert vertically up the pocket by Bryce. He avoids the end man on the line of scrimmage and makes the play. Very underrated play. Now, did Bryce have his best game? No. He definitely played his worst game. But first, focusing on some of the positives that Michigan needs to build off of, specifically in Bryce's game, when he's confident in the concept and his protection, he is amazing at throwing the ball sideline to sideline. And sometimes he uses it a little too much, but when he needs to, he has the ability to deliver the ball with various arm paths. And on this one, you can sit here and argue that he underthrew this ball, but Marshall does slow down and flips his whole body. And I'd argue, forget it. When you're struggling, you just need to complete passes. So yes, Bryce had a bad day, and he could not afford overthrowing this one. So we'll live with that one and move on to the next play. And then just like the run game where Michigan just outnumbered and out-leveraged Purdue, this one here, same exact thing, empty quads bunch to the boundary, and Purdue only had the corner, safety, and will linebacker, just 3 defenders ready to defend a 4-man bunch. Not a good formula. And then before we move on to some of Bryce's misses, we have to talk about how effective he was on the ground, minus that one fumble. There's definitely a pass protection issue, which we'll get into in a bit. But even when Bryce is uneasy with the protection, anytime he's decisive and he runs, there has been significant success. And so now I'm going to transition into that Bryce in the pocket as it's collapsing. This one, Bryce actually did a very good job standing tall in the pocket, stepping into his throw, and delivering the ball exactly where it needed to be in the midst of pressure. McCulley usually comes down with this one, but let's rewind it and see what's happening in the pass protection. Remember, we said Purdue took some risks schematically. They definitely paid for it in the run game, but they did confuse Michigan's pass protection a lot in the pass game. This is actually a 6-man pressure, cover 0 with man-to-man behind it, no post safety. The safety, number 25, is actually covering the running back, but the back stays in pass protection, so he just turns into a low hole or robber player in coverage. But focusing on the pass rush now, the 2 interior defensive linemen stunt, the boundary end and the will linebacker stunt, and the field end and Mike linebacker stunt. The pass protection does not pick it up cleanly, but Bryce still delivers in the midst of pressure. Now on this one, Bryce completes it, but you start to see his footwork in the pocket getting a little iffy. He steps away from his target here instead of to it. Again, he still completes it though. And then you got this one. This is a miss on the move. He leads him too far, and I want to pause it here as he makes eye contact with the target to see what he's looking at from the end zone copy. As he's evading the pocket, he's first looking at his number 1 receiver and then goes back to Marshall here. And when you pause it right here, when Bryce makes eye contact, he's thinking that Marshall is running toward the boundary, not realizing he just then pivoted and has not regained momentum with the change of direction quite yet. Plus, he sees the Sam chasing Marshall from behind. So Bryce doesn't want to risk an interception with that Sam closing in, which is why he ends up sailing it just outside, trying to lead Marshall a little more than he should have. And then on this one, the end result looks bad, and it is. I'm not saying this was a good ball, but let's break down why this happened. And this is what I mean when I say I know there is unclarity or miscommunication in the pass protection, because a few of these bad throws stem from Bryce's footwork in the pocket, which stems from his uneasiness or uncertainty with the pass protection, which stems from what appears to be either a lack of rules, unclarity, or miscommunication between the center who's setting the pass protection and the back. So let's break this one down to the minute detail. Starting from the inside out, let's count the defensive threats in the pass rush. The nose tackle, lined up in a zero tech, head up the center, is the first threat. Then the 3 technique across the left guard is the second threat. The end aligned across the right tackle is the third threat. The end aligned across the left tackle is the fourth threat. And then the outside backer, the end man on the line of scrimmage to the boundary, is the fifth threat. The outside backer, end man on the line of scrimmage to the field, is the sixth threat. So there are 6 guys on the line of scrimmage. So those guys have to be the first 6 threats. Then the 2 linebackers are the 7th and 8th threats. And with all 3 tight ends involved in the route concept, Michigan is in a 6-man pass protection. So the question is, who's responsible for whom? The easiest way to do this, which the offensive line does in this case, is to go big on big. So again, starting inside out, you have the center. He just takes the nose right in front of him. The left guard takes the tackle right in front of him. The right guard works out to take that third threat. The left tackle takes that fourth threat right in front of him. And then the right tackle works out to take the 5th threat. That leaves us with the Sam, the Mike, and the Will. With the Sam aligning on the line of scrimmage, the back should probably flip or hop over to the other side. Or even if he doesn't, he has to know that those are his 3 threats unaccounted for by the offensive line. So after the snap, the back should be keying the 6th, then the 7th, then the 8th threat. They can't all blitz. No defense in the world runs an actual engage 8 like in Madden. Against 6 in pass protection, the most that a defense can rush is 7, in which case the back would take the 6th, and then Bryce would be responsible for the 7th. But again, this is why I go back to there's definitely some unclarity because even the back doesn't know who he's responsible for here, considering that he chips the 5th target with the right tackle and leaves the 6th target as a free runner. And Bryce notices it. That's why his feet take him away from the free runner toward the boundary, and he's 100% anticipating getting absolutely wrecked in the back as he throws this. Thank God the turf 25-yard line trips up the Sam, because if the turf didn't trip him up, this is 100% a strip sack fumble. And then you can tell on the very next play, Bryce's internal clock in the pocket just keeps getting shorter and shorter and shorter. The more he didn't trust the pass protection, which sped up everything for him, and he makes this bad decision here. And then on this miss, I actually think it is more on Bryce the more I watch the end zone copy. Again, it's a ball that McCulley usually would come down with, but Bryce probably does need to leave it outside for him. And then this one is a true miss. He just needs to get a little more air under it and let him make the play. But again, film is never as bad as you think it is. It's never as good as you think it is. They just need to get to the root problems to truly fix them. And I'm confident Michigan knows what the problems are, especially in pass protection. And if anything, them being exploited badly in a win going into a bye could be a blessing in disguise. And if there's one person I'm betting on to fix his own mistakes and have a bounce back performance, it's Bryce. So as frustrating as that game may have been for the fans, hey, look, a win is a win. Watch the tape, correct it, burn it, and move on. 2 games of a perfect opportunity to sort things out and get reps before the big one. And I'm going to do a defensive breakdown on this Purdue game in a few days. But until then, like and subscribe, keep calm, and go blue.